Have you ever had a moment where someone tried to shrink your entire life into something small, and you finally refused? The kind of moment where something inside you doesn't just react. It ends. My laptop hit the marble floor with a violent crack. Not just a sound, a statement. A line that had finally been crossed. You should be in the kitchen instead of wasting time on this nonsense. My mother-in-law shouted, her voice sharp enough to slice through bone. She yanked the charger from the wall like she was cutting off my oxygen. Like my work didn't deserve power. To her, I was lazy, unemployed, dependent, completely useless. She couldn't have been more wrong. My name is Sapphira Callan. I'm 27 years old. I've been married to her son, Adrian, for 3 years. And for 3 years, I stayed quiet, not because I was weak, but because I thought silence would keep the peace. I swallowed every insult, every backhanded comment about how a real wife behaves. Every time she checked my pantry like I was being graded. Every time she criticized what I wore, how I cooked, how I existed. Like my presence itself needed correction. And every time Adrian whispered, just ignore her. Ignore her? Ignore the woman who walked into my workspace without knocking. Like boundaries didn't apply to me? Ignore the constant humiliation. The slow, daily erosion of respect. Ignore being treated like I contributed nothing. Like I was living off her generosity. That nothing paid for everything around us. The house, the furniture, the life she claimed I didn't deserve. The irony? She lived inside the life I built and still looked down on me from it. When she bent down to grab my broken laptop again, something inside me shifted. Not anger, not rage. Those would have passed. This was colder, quieter, something that didn't explode. It settled, and once it settled, it didn't move again. I grabbed her by her perfectly styled hair and pulled her up. Her gasp echoed through the room, more shocked at my audacity than the pain. Because in her world, I wasn't supposed to fight back. I didn't yell. I didn't argue. I didn't give her the chaos she expected. I dragged her to the front door, step by step, controlled, deliberate. She screamed Adrian's name like I was committing a crime, like I had broken a rule that only applied to me. And then, I pushed her outside. That's when I saw him, Adrian, standing there, watching everything, frozen, not rushing to help her, not stepping toward me, not even surprised, just standing there, like he was calculating, not what was right, but what was safer. Sapphira, breathe, he said carefully. Don't do this. Don't do this? After 3 years? After everything? His mother clutched her chest dramatically. You see, she spat. This is what happens when a woman forgets her place. Forget my place? For 3 years, she had been trying to define it, limit it, shrink it, reduce me into something easier to control. When Adrian and I got married, he insisted we live with her, temporarily. Temporary turned into months. Months turned into years. And years turned into control. She monitored everything. How I folded towels, how I seasoned food, even how often Adrian smiled at me. Like affection itself needed her approval. She sat at the kitchen island like a judge, narrating my failures like commentary on a show she enjoyed too much. And him? He didn't stop it. He didn't question it. He enabled it. Every single time. Just ignore her. But how long can someone ignore being erased? How long before silence starts feeling like surrender? Today was supposed to be important, critical, a turning point. I had a major investor presentation scheduled, something that could expand everything I had built, something that could change everything. Instead, my laptop was shattered, my work destroyed, my patience gone, and for the first time, I wasn't the one holding things together. Finally, Adrian spoke. Sapphira, apologize. I repeated his words slowly in my mind. Apologize? To her? For defending myself? For finally refusing to stay small? She stood outside like a victim, clutching her arm as if I had broken bones instead of her pride. You attacked me, she accused. In my son's house. I laughed. Not loudly, not wildly. Just enough to make Adrian uncomfortable, because somewhere Deep down, he knew. Your son's house, I said softly, then paused, letting it sit, letting it land. That's interesting. Fire. What would you do if the people who belittled you suddenly saw the truth and realized it was already too late? Adrian stepped closer, lowering his voice like this was something that could still be contained. You crossed a line. No, I replied calmly. Too calmly. She crossed into my workspace. She destroyed my property. She interfered with my work. Work? Lenora scoffed from the porch, her voice dripping with contempt. Typing on a laptop isn't work. A wife belongs in the kitchen. Something inside me went still. Not hurt, not anger. Something sharper, clear, focused, final. Adrian, I said quietly, locking eyes with him. Tell her what I do. Silence. He hesitated. And that hesitation? It said everything he didn't have the courage to. Lenora's lips curled into a satisfied smirk as she folded her arms. Exactly, she said. She doesn't even have a real job. That was it. No more explaining. No more proving myself to people who had already decided who I was. I turned without another word, walked back inside, and picked up my broken laptop. The screen was cracked, but it wasn't dead. Not yet. Still glowing. Still showing everything. I walked back to the door slowly, deliberately, and turned the screen toward them. Numbers. Contracts. Revenue dashboards. 6 figures. Every single month. Lenora's expression shifted first. Just a flicker. But enough. Adrian swallowed hard. And then, his phone buzzed. Sharp. Sudden. Like reality calling at the worst possible time. He glanced down and all the color drained from his face. It's my boss, he muttered, answering immediately. Yes, sir. I see it. See what? Lenora snapped, irritation creeping into her voice. He didn't answer her. Instead, he slowly turned the phone toward me. And in that moment, my stomach dropped. Not from fear, from realization. My investor pitch. The one that was supposed to change everything. The one she had just destroyed. It hadn't ended. It had continued. Streaming. Recording. Watching. Now. Clipped. Edited. Posted. My face. Her voice screaming. The sound of my laptop hitting marble. Me dragging her to the door. 40,000 people watching. Live. My first thought? This could destroy me. Everything I built, gone. But then, I saw the comments. And everything changed. Why is she being treated like that? Free her. Drop the husband. Protect her business. We've got your back. My chest tightened. Not from shame. From something I hadn't felt in a long time. Support. Real. Loud. Unfiltered support. Adrian's boss spoke again through the phone, his tone sharp, controlled but urgent. Is that your house? Adrian's voice dropped. Yes. A pause. Then, you might want to control that situation. Investors don't like drama tied to business partners. Partners? My eyes snapped to Adrian. What does he mean, partners? He didn't answer. Couldn't. Wouldn't. He just stood there. Silent. And that silence? It cracked something open. Because the truth didn't come out gently. It came out all at once. 6 months ago. Without telling me. Without asking me. Without even respecting me enough to include me. He used his connections. His money. His influence. To quietly buy a stake in my company. 15%. Just in case, he said stiffly. In case things didn't work out. In case I failed. Lenora's smirk came back instantly. Stronger this time. Full of pride. Of course, she said. My son protects his assets. Assets. Not partner. Not wife. Assets. And in that exact moment, something inside me changed. Not anger. Not heartbreak. Something far more dangerous. Clarity. Cold. Precise. Unshakable clarity. I turned without another word. Walked back into my office. Closed the door behind me. And this time, I didn't feel shaken. I didn't feel small. I didn't feel anything they expected. I felt in control. Because, while he owned 15%, I owned the vision, the systems, the strategy, the future, everything that actually mattered. And without even realizing it, Adrian had just made the biggest mistake of his life. What happens when the person who underestimated you realizes you are always in control? Inside my office, the silence felt different. Not heavy, not suffocating, sharp, focused. For the first time that day, my hands stopped trembling. I opened my tablet and logged into the company dashboard. Founder access, primary control, majority ownership. Adrian had 15%, just 15. But what he didn't understand was this. That 15% came with conditions. Strict ones. Non-disclosure agreements. Ethics clauses. Public conduct standards. Rules designed to protect the company's image. Rules he had just violated publicly. I didn't rush. I didn't panic. I drafted a single email. Subject line: immediate review request. Partner conduct violation. I attached the viral clip. Then I sent it to the board. By the time I stepped back into the living room, nothing had changed, and yet everything had. Lenora was still lecturing. Adrian was still silent.
But now,
I was done reacting. You wanted control? I said calmly, looking straight at him. Now watch what it costs. The board meeting happened that same night. Not because I forced it, because the investors demanded it. I joined the call from the dining table. Lenora sat on the couch, arms crossed like she was watching a show. Adrian stood behind her, stiff, unreadable. Then the clip played. Her voice, his silence, my humiliation, on repeat. No one spoke at first. Then the numbers appeared. Growth charts, revenue, expansion projections. The deal Adrian's own firm was negotiating through my company. Everything laid out. Precise. Powerful. Undeniable. One of the investors leaned forward. Mr. Callan, he said evenly, were we informed that your domestic situation could affect company reputation? Adrian cleared his throat. It was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? Another voice repeated. That video is trending globally. Still, I said nothing. No interruptions. No emotion. Just one final move. I shared a document on the screen. The clause. The one he signed. The one he clearly didn't think would matter. Any action that damages brand integrity results in immediate consequences, including share suspension. Silence filled the call. Then, the vote. Unanimous. Adrian's shares were frozen. Effective immediately. His firm, partnership negotiations paused. Indefinitely. Lenora's face went pale. Adrian looked at me like he didn't recognize me anymore. I closed my tablet slowly. You wanted me in the kitchen, I said quietly. I just cooked. Is winning really about revenge? Or is it about finally seeing the truth? Adrian didn't shout. He didn't argue. That would have been easier. Instead, he looked at me like something inside him had collapsed. You humiliated me, he said quietly. I almost smiled. Humiliated you? I repeated. Interesting. Lenora shot to her feet, furious. You ruined his career over a family argument. No, I said calmly. He risked his career trying to control me. That was the moment Adrian broke. You could have talked to me. I held his gaze. I tried, I said. For 3 years. Silence filled the room again. But this time, it wasn't uncomfortable. It was final. By now, the video had exploded online. Hundreds of thousands of views. Then millions. Messages flooded in. Support. Opportunities. New investors. My company's valuations surged overnight. And Adrian? His phone buzzed again. He checked it and went pale. His firm had placed him on administrative leave. Pending investigation. Lenora gasped like the world had ended. This is your fault, she screamed at me. I didn't react. I just walked to the door, opened it, and looked at her. You don't live here, I said gently. She turned to Adrian, waiting, expecting, demanding. He said nothing. For the first time in 3 years, he had no defense left. And somehow, that silence felt like freedom. The next morning, the house felt different. Lighter, quieter. Lenora had packed her things and left. Not because I forced her, but because Adrian finally told her the truth. The house wasn't his. It never was. I bought it. With my money, my work, my success. She walked out without another word. No criticism. No superiority. Just silence. Adrian stayed, sitting at the kitchen table for hours. Then finally he spoke. I didn't think you'd choose your company over me. I met his eyes. I didn't think you'd choose control over respect. That was the moment everything became clear. Not painful, not dramatic, just honest. He didn't marry a partner. He married someone he thought he could manage. And I finally stopped letting him. A week later, we signed the final paperwork. Not divorce. Something simpler. Cleaner. A buyout. He sold me his shares. At a loss. Because staying connected to me meant answering to me. And he couldn't handle that. As I watched him carry his last suitcase out the door, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel revenge. I felt peace. Because in the end, she wanted me in the kitchen. Now, I own the entire house.